Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I'm here to do a tag created by Sasha at Bookutopia, the Outlander Book Tag. Outlander is almost coming back. It comes back in November. By the time this video uploads, maybe it's already. So I thought this was the perfect occasion to do the Outlander Book Tag dedicated to this amazing book series and TV show. I love the TV show. So without further ado, I'm gonna get into the questions. I have them here on my phone, so I'm gonna be looking at it, sorry. The first question is, you touch some standing stones and get transported back in time. What year would you hope to land in? So I don't have a precise year, I have a time periods. This is because, it really does depend where you would land in. So if it was right here where I am in Lisbon, I think I would want to go back to 1500s, because it was supposed to be the time where Portugal was the most rich and also very busy and amazing, but it would be a very it's almost medieval time, it's very dirty. And so if I could choose where, and if it was in England, I would obviously choose the Regency period, because I do love the Victorian period and the Edwardian as well in the aesthetics, but those corsets, they seem so uncomfortable. So I and also women's rights. So I went with Jane Austen's times, because obviously, and there's gonna be a lot of Jane Austen in this tag, sorry, but yeah, the 1800s in England, not necessarily in London, but in England, the first 10 years, 1814 for example, and still get to see Jane Austen in the flesh before she dies. That would be amazing. Yeah, so I have to go with those years. Second question is, Claire is a very good nurse. What type of skill would you want to have that a fictional character excels at? Did I think this through beforehand? No, I forgot. I would love if I had the same wittiness as Elizabeth Bennet, going back to that book. I also would love if I could meddle, control water like Percy Jackson. That would be amazing. I would really enjoy that. I think controlling water, I've been always obsessed with water, and oh god, controlling water, yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I would love to have Percy Jackson's power. That would be very cool. Yeah. The third question is, Jamie and Claire are ultimate relationship goals. Who is your favorite fictional couple? So I have quite a few. A lot of them are from TV shows, to be honest, but I do have some that stick in my brain. One of them is, of course, from my previous answer, and that is Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. I've been obsessed with them since I was 15. I'm almost 23. It's still going strong. I love them. I love this story, and what it represents to me is amazing. Looking back at it, it's what made me love classics and English literature so much. I'm forever in Jane Austen's debt. And I love this couple. But if I have to go with something more recent and maybe something more up to our times, I would go with Percy Jackson and Annabeth. Because, yes, Percy and Annabeth are a perfect couple, and I love seeing how they have grown and really how I can relate to them as a couple, and how amazing they work as a couple as well. They are very different, and they tease each other, but it's a very healthy relationship. It's a very healthy relationship, and I love that. And I just love them together. They're so supportive of each other, and they just envision themselves that it's a relationship with a future, which is, I guess, the only kind of relationship, I guess, makes sense to me, of course. And I just, not judging, just for me, it makes a lot of sense. And so I find them adorable and cute, and it's just the best couple. Yes. Of course, we're not talking about Jamie and Claire, because those two are also very OTP goals. So number 4 is, the ending of Outlander was shocking, and I think this was during the end of season 2, I believe, but I can't be sure. I think it was. What is one book you read that totally blew your mind? Now, there's 2 books that blow my mind. One because I wasn't expecting, and the other one just because of its story. The one because of the story, which is the one I have here to show you. I can't tell you why it blew my mind, because that would be a huge spoiler and it would ruin the book. But this little guy, this very short book, has one of the most amazing endings I've read, and it blew my mind. This is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, and it's an amazing YA story that it's kind of a mystery. I cannot do synopsis. I'm so sorry, guys. But if you do Google it, if you do search for this book and you read the synopsis, you see that it's set up to be like this mysterious YA story. But I went into it thinking it would be more of a contemporary YA story than probably a mystery one. I came out of this blown away. Because it starts off pretty normal and then it just goes insane. The other book I was actually mentioning is Everything I've Never Told You, just because it surprised me. I mean, the plot is very well constructed, and it is surprising what happens, and you go and find, you know, all of this aspects of the story. You keep finding stuff out, but the story itself, the way it was constructed, I was really surprised to love it as much as I did. And at the time I read it, I gave it like my honorable mention in my top 5 books of that year, so it will be like in the number 6. But now that I think about it, it was one of the best books I've read in a long time, and I think I would put it in a much higher place in my top 10 now that I think of it, if I've read it like this year or last year. So yeah. 5. Scotland has lots of castles, and we see quite a few in Outlander. What fictional kingdom would you want as your own, castle included? I'm really bad at imagining places. That's why I usually actually watch stuff and then read them. That being said, if I can just not answer fictional, but actually just specific, I don't want to be a ruler, guys. I love your queen, but if I can have Leeds Castle, which is called the loveliest castle in Britain, I would love that. So in Tudor times, Henry VIII would go to, I think he went through Leeds Castle once, and it just became his like pleasure palace. It's a beautiful palace, you know. It has like this lake around it. It comes from like it's like a fairy tale palace / castle, and I love that. It's not fictional, I am well aware, but because my imagination visually is so bad, this is just the answer I came up with. No, I do not want Tower of London. It's way too creepy. And I wouldn't want to be like the king, like the ruler of England. But right now, like in this precise moment where, you know, it's a democracy and like Henry VIII wouldn't cut my head if I just say something that he didn't like, I would love to have Leeds Castle. So that's my answer for you. So number 6 is Outlander has some very steamy scenes. What is your favorite romance novel? So I don't really like romance, you know, those kind of like really cheap romance novels. No judging from my part, but the only one I can... So there's 2 answers for this. If you think about romance novel, I think of chick lit. So a story that's basically focused around the romance aspect of it mostly. And for that I've Got Your Number. It's the most romantic, cute, amazing. Like I feel so much... I feel so many feelings when I read this book. I've reread it twice and I love it every time I read it. But if you think about like, because the question mentions steaminess, then of course it has to be Outlander. Like, it's not just because this tag is made. So if you forget that this tag is based on the Outlander series, Outlander is basically the most romantic, steamy book I've read, and it's amazing, and that part is very well done. This answer would actually be Outlander, which I know sounds cringy because this is a book tag called Outlander Book Tag, but it would be Outlander, yes. 7th question is, the Jacobite Rising is a huge plot point in the Outlander series. What book has your favorite battle in it? And for that, I would go with The Last Olympian by Rick Riordan, and this is the final book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. This is the Brazilian edition. I've read it in like 2015, something like that. No, before that, 2014, if I'm not wrong, if I'm not mistaken. And it's amazing, like that final battle, which takes up like almost like the final half of the book. It's amazing, it's so cool to read, it's so like you can actually picture it, which is amazing, and you know, not many authors can do that. Of course I could say The Blood of Olympus, which is the most recent one I've read, but I wanted to like move things up a bit because I've already shown you Blood of Olympus. So The Last Olympian has an amazing final battle scene, and I really enjoyed this book as well. Like when I read it, it was like on my top 5. Going back to those times when I already had a channel, so you can check it out, I think. I would say this one is one of the most amazing battles, and I think it's very, very well written. Number 8 is Jimmy and Claire get married very unexpectedly. What fictional character would you want to marry on a whim? So I went back and forth with this decision. I didn't want to say Mr. Darcy again because I've already mentioned Jane Austen too much. And so, because I've already mentioned Jane Austen too much, I didn't want to say, you know, Wentworth, which is, again, a guy I would literally marry on a whim as well. So I wanted to show you another classic that I really do love, and that is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. And if you know the adaptation by BBC, it has Richard Armitage in the main male role, which is John Thornton. And John Thornton has one of the most romantic scenes I've ever read, and boy does that man feel. He's such a like rough exterior with a soft interior, and I melt. He's so cute and romantic. I can feel like his art eyes emoji, literally. I can feel that when he looks at like the main character here, who is Margaret. And so if I was in Margaret's shoes, yes, he's so good. Actually, I think he's a better character than Margaret Hale, who is the female protagonist of this story, and especially in the book. So in this TV show, I do like Margaret, but I think she's very prejudiced. And that's one of the things that in the TV show you kind of see. It's her growing out of a prejudice, which again, I think North and South was very influenced by Pride and Prejudice. But John Thornton is such a amazing character with such a sad backstory as well. So my answer is John Thornton. And go check out North and South, which is a very underrated classic, and it's amazing. The 9th question is, Scotland is a beautiful place. What is one fictional world you would love to visit? I'm gonna go with a very, very easy answer, and that would be the wizarding world of Harry Potter. I cannot imagine, I cannot even begin to explain how much I want to live in a world like that. But nowadays, with no Voldemort or, you know, Grindelwald or whatever, I would love to live in that world. This is the Ravenclaw edition of Prisoner of Azkaban, because I'm a Ravenclaw, so I just wanted to show off my edition. That being said, let's go to the final question, which is a very simple one. If you could change the past, would you? Now, if I was in Claire's shoes and being the Outlander book tag, I think I would want to, like, save people's lives. I get what she is doing. At the same time, it's very complicated to say if you would change times. I think it depends on the context. Like, I would definitely want to change some events. I would definitely want to, like, stop one of our kings from going into battle and losing our independence for 80 years. So that was one thing that I would do as a Portuguese. That's one of them. If I was in, like, I don't know, in England, I would stop Charles I from knocking on, like, the Parliament door or something that he did, kind of like that. Because that went, he got in a lot of trouble for doing that. So basically I would stop Charles I from being beheaded. And a lot of the times I think changing history can be very tricky and very complicated. And so I think it's better to just be an observer. So go there and observe and come back. Or, you know, just stay there, but just don't meddle with history. If you want to live it, if you want to go to the past and live it, then yeah, sure, but don't try to change it. I think it's very dangerous if you do that, if we do that. It's not an easy answer, by the way. It's not an easy question. I tricked myself. So yeah. The 11th question is actually to tag somebody. Anyone, do it. Just, I love when people say, go and do it. So do this tag if you love Outlander. Oh, even if you don't, it's a really well done tag. So yeah, I will leave the links to the original person and the original tag and everything in the description. All my media links are also in the description box below, so you can check it out. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up or subscribe, and I hope to see you soon with a new video. Goodbye!